What's up, Scampers? Welcome to my roadside emergency preparedness video. I'm getting geared up to do a long trip across the country and back, so I'm putting together all of my emergency supplies, and I figured you might be interested in them as well. So I have stuff that I carry specifically in my tow vehicle for roadside emergencies, and I have stuff that I carry in the Scamp for things that could go wrong while I'm scamping. So I'm going to go through everything piece by piece, but this video is bound to get a little long, so if you'd rather read it, there's an article on my website that covers the same stuff with links, or you can find links to everything I discuss in the description below this video. But let's start with everything I carry in my tow vehicle. And I bet you probably haven't heard of the first thing I want to go over, and that is the Zoleo emergency satellite communication device. This is something that hikers and backpackers are really familiar with because you go out in the backcountry where there isn't any reception and you're sometimes by yourself, and if anything goes wrong, you can't call 911. So this is a satellite communication device that will actually work anywhere in the world with a clear view of the sky. So if you ever get out somewhere really remote and get in some trouble, there's an SOS button that you can hit that will call search and rescue at the push of that button. But you can also message through your phone and the app through the satellite communication network. So if you ever get in a pickle, you can get in touch with emergency services, you can tell them your situation, and they can arrive prepared for your specific emergency. I wrote a whole article about this that I'll link in the description as well, but it is a really good device to have. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the really tragic tale of the elderly couple that went RVing and their GPS took them down a dirt road that their RV couldn't handle. They got stuck. They didn't have any reception. Unfortunately, the gentleman in the couple had some health conditions and didn't survive the scenario. The wife did, fortunately, but if they had had an emergency communication device like this, they could have pressed a button and help would have been there within 24 hours. So it is something that you have to subscribe and pay a monthly plan for, but you can start that plan and cancel the plan whenever you like. So if you know you're going on a big trip, you can start your plan up and you can have a backup, and you know you can get help and communicate with emergency services at the push of a button. This is something that I highly recommend that everybody have and carry because this could save your life. And I like to keep mine in my tow vehicle within reach. So if I was ever in a really bad rollover accident or something and my cell phone went flying or got broken, this thing's really durable. I could still call for help using this device. And then I have it right there. If I want to go for a hike, I can just strap it to my backpack, take it with me. I try to always keep this on me whenever I'm out in really remote places. And while we're on the subject of accidents, I like to carry a first aid kit not only in my tow vehicle, but also one in the Scamp, because sometimes I leave the Scamp behind and go for a hike. And so if I had just a first aid kit in my Scamp, I wouldn't have it with me if something happened on the trail. So I keep one in my tow vehicle too. And that way, if somebody's behind in camp and I'm out doing an excursion, we both have a first aid kit. So what I carry in my car is pretty basic, but there's some stuff in here that you might not have thought of. I carry Benadryl. Our dog is allergic to bee stings, so Benadryl has saved her life more than once. Getting stung by a bee, we have Benadryl to give her. Consult your vet, of course, but milligram per pound of the dog is basically what you can give them. I carry Pepto-Bismol because, you know, camp food can get to you sometime. Ibuprofen for anti-inflammatory and pain relief. And this stuff is probably my most used item in my first aid kit. This is a poison oak and poison ivy remedy, but it does so much more than that. It works on bug bites. It works on burns. It works on sunburns. It works on any kind of rash. If you put this on a bug bite, it'll immediately take the itch away, and then it almost never itches again unless you irritate it somehow. So bug bites, mosquito bites, poison oak, poison ivy, sunburns, burns. I've burned myself before with the campfire, and I put this on there, and it's a topical analgesic, so it immediately offers you some pain relief, but it also really minimizes the damage all those things can do. So I have used this more than anything in my first aid kit. I highly recommend this little travel size. It fits easily in your first aid kit, and I'll link that below. But you also need some kind of antiseptic of some kind if you get a really bad injury. So inside this plastic bag, I've got this hurt-free wash that's amazing. It relieves pain. It works on cuts, scrapes, burns, anything that might get infected. You always want to make sure that you keep stuff clean if you get an injury where you're out in the dirt. So definitely have some kind of antiseptic or neosporin of some kind. What else is in here? I've got medical tape for obvious reasons. I've got Band-Aid closures. If you get a really big cut, this can hold something closed until you can get somewhere where you go to get stitches. What is this? This is a glue pen that was expired at a hospital where I was working, so you probably won't be able to find that, but I have that on me. I've got a ridiculous amount of Band-Aids, and some of these are getting kind of old and probably need to be replaced, but more Band-Aids than I could ever possibly use. You want to make sure that you've got some gauze pads, you know, basic first aid stuff. But these are the things that I have had and needed and used frequently. These medications and these remedies have been pretty much everything that I've needed. Anything major happens, I'm going to try to get myself to an ER. So this covers the basics. And of course, if you're on a road trip, your tires are pretty important. So I carry this lug nut wrench that's cool because it collapses down like this, but it also works on the lug nuts for the Scamp and fits the lug nuts for my tow vehicle. I carry a portion for the locking lug nuts that I put on my Scamp that I've discussed in my other videos. So if I need to change a Scamp tire, I've got the key for my locking lug nuts. But this one's great because it's collapsible. It doesn't take up much space. I can just throw this anywhere in my tow vehicle, and then I can change a tire whenever I need to. As far as jacking up the Scamp or the tow vehicle, luckily my tow vehicle's jack will work on the Scamp as well. So I don't carry a separate jack. I just use the one that came in my tow vehicle. I'm lucky it works for both. So you want to just double check that yours will too before you run into a situation and find out the hard way that it doesn't. Lug nut wrench is definitely a must. And if you've got locking lug nuts, make sure you've got the key for it. And if I should ever get an object in my tire, like a nail or a screw or something while I'm on the road, I've got this 9-piece tire plug kit. So it's got everything you need in it to patch like a puncture hole in your tire. So if I didn't want to change and put the spare on or something and I just had a puncture, I could repair it on the side of the road with this kit. Comes with everything you need. Pretty easy to use. There's lots of videos you can watch on how these work. They're great and they can really save you in a pinch. And then if you do lose air in your tire, you want to have some way to air it back up. So this is my little tiny compressor that I carry in my tow vehicle. I did a whole demonstration on how I use this in my Scamp in my hitching up, leveling, and disconnecting video. So if you want to see a demonstration of that, you can see me use it for the Scamp tires in that video. But having an air compressor is a must, because if I do get a puncture hole and lose my pressure in my tire and I'm able to patch it, I want to be able to gas it back up. So this is an awesome one. It's got a 12-volt port on it, so I can use it in my tow vehicle or in the Scamp, and I can put the air that I need back in my tires. So air compressor, tire plug kit, and a lug nut wrench so I can change the tire when needed are all vital for emergency roadside situations that involve a tire. Should my tire emergency happen on the side of a busy highway, I carry this box. It comes with 3 of these reflective triangles, which you can use to warn people that you are up ahead changing a tire or something on the side of the road. That just really helps your safety, so people have time to get over and not be in the lane right next to you, which is huge, especially if you're changing a tire on the driver's side. And I like this box because it's super compact. You get 3 of them. They're very big and bright, and I've never had to use them, but I always make sure that I have them because I want to make sure that I'm safe when I'm on the side of the road. And if that emergency should happen at night, I carry this BioLite headlamp. I really like these BioLite headlamps. They're super comfortable. They kind of feel more like a sweatband. They don't put a lot of pressure on your forehead. They're super duper comfortable, but they're bright. And if I need to change a tire at night, then I definitely want to have a headlamp so I can have both my hands free. I don't want to try to have my wife on the side of the road holding the flashlight for me. I want her to be safely belted inside while I quickly change the tire outside. So nighttime emergencies, I always carry a headlamp in the tow vehicle as well as some in the Scamp. So if anything happens while I'm driving, I can just grab it really quickly and do what I need to do. Other tools that I like to carry in my tow vehicle go in this Carhartt tool roll. I like it because not only is it super compact, it's not a hard toolbox that if I got into a really bad accident could fly through the air and hit me in the head. So it's really compact and it's soft, which I really appreciate. So I'll show you what I carry in here. This is a set of basic tools that I have found really useful in my over 2 decades of RVing across the country and back. They're basics. If you have more that you found super useful, I'd love to hear about yours in the comments too. But what I carry, I start with this Craftsman socket wrench set. It's super tiny, but really convenient. It's got like the basic sizes that I use the most often, but it's also got a bunch of different drivers and drill bit heads that you could use for all the different situations you might come across. It is ridiculously tiny, so you don't get the biggest mechanical advantage from it, but I like how small it is because you can squeak into tiny spots that you wouldn't normally be able to get into with like a full-size socket wrench set. And it's compact and easy to always have with me. You just want to make sure that you have the metric or the standard size, depending on what kind of tow vehicle you have. You want to make sure you have the one that will work for you. Other things that are hiding in here, this is Gorilla Glue, which I find I use a lot. It will stick to anything. So if anything comes separated or tears apart or whatever, Gorilla Glue will most of the time be able to fix it. I just use that a lot. It's handy to have. Next to that are some reusable zip ties. These are awesome because yes, they are reusable. I have a problem with one-time use items, but these are so cool. You can attach stuff to your Easy Up, hang lights, whatever, undo them, and then use them for emergencies if anything comes loose and I need to quickly cinch it back together. And here I've got this wire brush. I use this for cleaning my battery terminals or anything that just gets rusty or whatever. I can use this in a pinch, and it's very compact, so it's handy to have. I love having that with me. I've got just a basic crescent wrench. This is the 1/2 inch size. That's just the most common size that I find that I need. So I just always carry that one with me because I use it a lot. I've got a set of Allen wrenches that I took out of the case just to make them more compact. And Allen wrenches are super awesome to have too. I always want to have a set of those on me. And next to that, I've got some adjustable wrenches in case I don't have the right size on me, and then I can adjust to make them the right size. So I have a couple different sizes there that are awesome. And next to that, I've got this screwdriver set that has a bunch of different types of bits on it. So if I need to do something in a pinch or reach a little further than my socket wrench that can go, this give me a little more reach. And it's got all the different types of bits that I find that I use, and it's even got the Canadian style, since the Scamp uses these star-shaped screws. I don't know what they're called, but that's handy to have too. Next to that, I've just got some wire cutters that I can use if I need to strip some wires, do some emergency repairs or clip anything. I've got these. Just different kinds of pliers that come in handy. Needle nose pliers are always a must. I always carry those. And then I've got some vice grips if I ever need to really wrench something down or get something unstuck. Vice grips are super handy to have as well. And then there are some pockets over here where I have duct tape because you will eventually always need duct tape. So I carry that with me all the time. Same goes for electrical tape. Eventually you'll need electrical tape, so it's handy to have. And then over here, I've got some Teflon tape for plumbing emergencies. If I spring a leak or anything, Teflon tape is really nice to have. And then lastly, I've got some metal wire. Say my exhaust pipe came loose and started dangling while I was driving down the road. This is something that is not going to melt, like a zip tie that I can use to hold something hot up until I can get somewhere where I can repair it permanently. So that's what I've got in my tool roll. These have all been super handy. And if you have any other tools that you found to be super necessary, go ahead and put them in the comments because I'd love to know what else you carry that I don't have in my kit, because I haven't come across every situation yet. So I still have a lot to learn as well. These are some other items that I've found to be super useful on the road. This one up front here is a shovel by Lifeline. It's really small and compact. It does extend out a little bit, but I have used this when I got stuck in the snow, stuck in the mud, in sand. It's super convenient and it's really compact, so easily fits inside my tow vehicle. That's a good one to always have. Speaking of snow, you've got an ice scraper and windshield cleaner. Always helpful in a snowy situation. If you do get stuck somewhere in the snow, and you don't have your Scamp with you, it's a good idea to have a warm wool blanket in your tow vehicle, just in case you get stuck in your vehicle overnight in a cold situation. You definitely want to have some kind of insulation. So I always carry one with me in my tow vehicle, and I always carry food and water for the same reason. My wife and I were on Mount Hood exploring away from our Scamp, and we made it down just before the road collapsed. So the people behind us got stuck on the mountain overnight. So if you were stuck overnight, you would want to have some food, some water, and some way to stay warm. So those are definitely critical. Just, you can't count on your Scamp being with you all the time. So if you explore without your trailer a lot like I do, those are all good things to have. And right here, I've got just some trusty tie downs if anything needs to be strapped down. If my camper shell came loose or something, or my brackets that hold them on broke, I have a way to tighten things down. I've used these to secure down our Easy Up in really bad weather to make sure that it didn't blow away or blow into the Scamp to hurt it. So ratchet straps are super helpful for so many situations. I can't even begin to get into it all. If I was stuck in my tow vehicle that wouldn't start without the trailer, I always carry this battery pack. This is by Anchor. It's a really high capacity battery bank. So if I needed to call for help and my phone was dying and my vehicle wouldn't turn on, this Anchor battery would be a way I could charge my devices like my phone or my emergency satellite communication device. So this is just a backup battery that I keep in my tow vehicle for that kind of situation. And should I ever come back from a hike and my tow vehicle's battery is dead, This is a NOCO Boost Sport. This will jump my tow vehicle's battery. So it comes with this really nice case and these jumper cables. So if I needed to, I could give myself a jump just with this thing. I always make sure that it's charged up, and I make sure that I have the right size for my particular tow vehicle battery. But with this case and these cables, it's super duper convenient. And if I got in a real pinch with the trailer, I could also add to my trailer battery's charge with this boost. So this is something super convenient to have with you. You can't always count on somebody else being there to give you a jump, so I carry this so I don't need help from anyone else. And speaking of counting on other people, since I do tend to be in remote places a lot, I always carry this kit that I got from AAA when I signed up for their insurance. It's got some basics in here, like a fix a flat, which if my tire repair kit didn't work or I wasn't able to make it work, I could use. But I mostly carry these things for other people. If I find someone else on the road that needs a jump, or they don't have a tire pressure gauge or something, this is stuff that I carry just in case I come across somebody else who needs some help. Or if my battery booster didn't work for some reason, then I have a backup where I could get a jump from a passerby. So another thing that I carry in my tow vehicle, and most people probably don't think about this one, but having a way to keep the heat out of your vehicle if you are stranded, say on the side of the road in Arizona where it's incredibly hot on a 100-degree day. It doesn't seem like something that would be life-saving or something you initially think of when you think of emergency preparedness, but having a way to keep the sun out of your vehicle if the only safe place to wait for help is inside your vehicle can be a total game changer. So I have this that is just custom fit to the windshield for my tow vehicle. Find one that fits yours, but I always have this with me just in case my family and my dog are stuck in the tow vehicle on a 90-degree day in the sun. And last but not least, for the tow vehicle items, there are a couple of things I always keep in the back of my truck. This funnel and this tubing, if I ever get to a campground that doesn't have like a pressurized hose I can use to fill my freshwater tank, I can use this and a gallon jug that I keep over here and fill up at any kind of spigot and then dump it into my tank. So it's tedious, but it's a way to get stuff into your freshwater tank. If you go really remote places like I do, they don't have hookups or they don't have a spigot that you can thread a hose to. So that's always come in handy in those situations. And right here, I've got some recovery tracks. These, if you've never used them before, are incredible for getting you out of a sticky situation in the mud or snow or sand. These provide traction for your tires and can get you unstuck. So it's something that I always carry with me. I really like this kind because they're not super big, but they're big enough to get the job done. I always carry these in my tow vehicle in case I ever get stuck on a mountain road. I don't want to ever put myself in a situation I can't get out of. So recovery tracks have come in clutch multiple times. I highly recommend them. And I'll link the ones that I have here that are my favorite size. That covers my tow vehicle items. Let's talk about my Scamp specific items. Inside the Scamp, I carry a case of AAA batteries. I carry those because my thermostat runs on AAA batteries. So if I want to be able to use my heat and the batteries suddenly die, I don't have to go heatless because it's the only way to turn on the furnace. So backup AAA batteries are definitely a must if you've got a furnace. This system right here is another thing that I carry for emergencies that you probably won't hear any other RVers talking about. This is a water filtering system that I can use to make any water source drinkable. So I carry this because I go remote campgrounds and say I'm somewhere way out in the mountains in Wyoming and a tree falls over the only road that I can use to get out of there. I'm stuck there until somebody comes with a chainsaw to clear that tree. So if I was already close to running out of water because I was at the end of my trip anyway, I would be able to make any water source drinkable with this system. All it is a Sawyer microfilter that I use backpacking, and you can filter from streams, lakes, creeks, puddles, anything at all and make it drinkable. So I carry that in these two different color knock bags. The orange is the one I use for collecting dirty water, and then I filter it into the blue one. So since they're two different colors, I can tell which one's which, but I basically just scoop up water in this knock bag. I can put it into a lake, stream, creek, anything at all, and then put this filter on the other end, and then just attach the clean water bag to the other side and hang it up from a tree with a carabiner. And now I can filter water, and it doesn't matter how long I'm stuck somewhere. I can have safe drinking water for as long as I need that won't give me giardia. So the only thing you need to know about this filter is that it can't freeze. As long as you keep it from getting frozen, you can make as much safe drinking water as you need, no matter how long you're stuck somewhere. So not something that a lot of people think about, but it could be a lifesaver. So that's inexpensive for water security. A lot of my other emergency supplies are in this closet in these Velcro bags that I have. It keeps them nice and neat and organized without taking up too much space inside the closet. So I have another first aid kit. This is just a simple one off of Amazon that's got all the basics. As I mentioned before, I just like having one in the Scamp and one in the tow vehicle. So no matter who's where, wherever you are, you've got a first aid kit. Another thing that I carry in here is a 7-way flat pin towing maintenance kit. So this has a tester in it that I talked about in my very first Scamp video that tests your connection to your tow vehicle. And so if anything goes wrong, you can figure out exactly which pin is the problem. And it comes with everything you need to clean and maintain those connections. So say I was camping and something happened to my connection that goes to my tow vehicle, then I would have what I need to repair it. So that's something that I always carry with me too, just in case. This one did a whole video on. This stops the door from squeaking, so I carry it with me in case my door ever starts squeaking again, and I can handle it right then and there. But so far so good. I've used this once and my door isn't squeaking. But if you've got a squeaky door, I did a whole video on that. This stuff is clutch. This stuff is 303 rubber seal protectant. It protects and conditions rubber seals on doors, windows, hoods, trunks, whatever. So this is good for my tow vehicle and for the Scamp. If I notice that my rubber seals on the Scamp windows are getting a lot of sun and starting to look like they might crack, I can use this and kind of maintain the rubber seals all over the Scamp. So really good stuff. I always have that with me too. The last item in that top pouch are these Camco hose filter washers. These are those little filters that go in the little inlet where you hook up to city water. So if you hook up your hose and it's spraying all over the place because you've got a bad seal or a missing washer, these are what you would use to fix that right on the spot. So it comes with 3. It's very convenient. I like to have them just in case because I don't like to waste water or have water spraying all over the side of my trailer when I have hookups. So very convenient. In the bottom here, I've got all my Scamp manuals and all the literature in case anything goes wrong while I'm out there and I can't figure out what it is. So I've got information to help me figure out and troubleshoot. In here, I've got my fuse puller because the fuses are pretty hard to pull without them. I do have the needle nose pliers, but it's nice just to have a fuse puller handy in case I need to replace a fuse. And these are some of my replacement fuses. I got a whole nother box of auto fuses, so I just have an assortment of all the different fuses. So no matter which fuse goes bad, I can fix it right then and there. I don't have to go without something just because I blew a fuse and didn't have a replacement one. Bungee cords. I can't tell you the amount of times I've used bungee cords. You wouldn't think that they're a good emergency preparedness item, but they have come in handy for so many things. I can't even begin to tell you all the ways I've used these. Just trust me, carry some bungee cords. You'll eventually use them. This is the wheel that goes on the tongue of my trailer. If I went down a road and I couldn't turn around, I could swap the foot that's on the front of my trailer out with this wheel, and I could turn the trailer around with my hands if I needed to. So this is just emergency preparedness, so I never get stuck somewhere and can't turn the trailer down. If I go down a road and it winds up being too narrow to reverse, then this would be the item that would get me out of that sticky situation. In here, I've also got a little bit more duct tape because you can never have too much duct tape. I've got some extra tent stakes in case stuff gets super windy. I just need to make sure that stuff doesn't blow away, like my trash can or my awning needs extra guy outs or something. I've got extra tent stakes just so I can make sure stuff is secure in heavy winds. And then lastly, I've got my multimeter in here. I talked about this a little bit in my battery video, but this is probably the most used piece of kit in my entire RVing existence. This will help you diagnose any electrical issue. They're super awesome to have and to know how to use. So I will eventually do a video on how to use this. I've just have so many topics I want to cover. I promise I'll get to it eventually, but these are a must for any RVer to have with you and to know how to use. So I highly recommend a multimeter. It'll save the day anytime you have an electrical issue. So get yourself a multimeter, learn how to use one. Highly recommend this one. It's great. So that's everything that I carry for my emergency preparedness kit. If you have something in your kit that I didn't cover or have, I would love to know what it is. I always want to be as prepared as possible. So please leave it in the comments because I would love to know. And if you made it to the end of this video, you're a real one. Thank you so much for watching this video. Check out some other ones while you're here. And I'll see you next time. Happy scamping.